All right, so I thought it'd be kind of cool since it's been out for a weekend to do a ranking of the Final Destination movies. Um, if you want to know my thoughts on the full movie, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the first tier. That'll allow you access to do so, and check out my review of Final Destination Bloodlines. And it does look like we are going to probably going to get a Final Destination 7 because this Bloodlines has made an astonishing amount of money. I think it's actually beat it just absolutely dominated the seventh Mission Impossible movie. I don't know if that's true or not, but from I have heard nothing but not good thing. And I'm not even the biggest Mission Impossible fan. Keep that in mind. But from what I understand, is that it is basically trounced, just absolutely trounced the the Mission Final Destination Bloodlines trounced Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. So yeah, so I figured, fuck it, I want to do a ranking of least favorite to favorite of this franchise. Now, as always with this franchise rankings, just keep in mind this is just my personal list. If you think a movie should be higher or lower on the list, that's totally fine. I got no problem with that. In fact, I'm always excited to hear where you guys stand in terms of these films for you. I'm always excited to hear where you guys like to rank these movies for you personally. So let's get started with again, we're going from starting from the bottom to the top. So bottom of the barrel, I think it's safe to say everyone does not like this movie no matter what. And that movie is none other than yeah, it's obviously the Final Destination. It was totally not the Final Destination because we got two more movies out of it. The Final Destination is arguably the weakest of the franchise, but it still made money. I think also the ending is kind of lame. I think also there's some deaths that are just overtly CGI. There are some kills I like the suction cup, the guy who gets sucked to the bottom of a pool and he's like drowning. That one gets me. Like that's a kill that gets me every time. The racetrack major death is just kind of there, and I think it's overtly CGI. But yeah, there are a few deaths that do get me, but that fake out final death scene of getting a second premonition, yeah, I thought that was lame, and I think the characters aren't very strong either. I do not think. Sorry, I had like a crick in my neck. I do not think at any point that any of these characters are likable. Following that is Final Destination 3. Now, I actually, from here on out, I outside of 4, the movies are actually kind of enjoyable for me. I think, for the most part, a lot of these movies are pretty enjoyable for me going forward. I guess we'll just call it Final Destination 4. Final Destination 4 is really the only one where I was just like, oh, fuck my life. But anyway, so Final Destination 3, I think, has one of the has a pretty awesome opener with the roller coaster death. I think also the tanning bed death. When I was in high school and people had seen Final Destination 3, the tanning bed death was what everyone talked about. And it's funny because there was in the town I grew up in had a tanning salon, and that I remember distinctly it lost a lot of customers because people got freaked out by the tanning bed deaths. I think also there's some I like that it adds new lore to it. The only thing a knock against it is that it really doesn't really have the character of Bloodworth in it. It does have Tony Todd doing a voice for a demon figure, so Tony Todd is still connected to this universe, so that's really cool. But yeah, so that was just one I was just like, ugh. Now we come to Final Destination 5. Final Destination 5, I think the more I watch that movie, the more I love it. The characters are way more likable. I also enjoy... cycling back to Final Destination 3, I also really enjoy that ending, and there's some great characters in there too. But getting back to Final Destination 5, Final Destination 5, you'd think by the 5th movie it'd suck, but actually it's got a pretty solid premise. I like all the characters in it. I think there are just some brutal deaths in this film. And it really, as opposed to 4, where it's really like give or take 1 or 2, 4's going back to 4 and maybe some of 3 is that a lot of those deaths don't really feel like how that could happen. But with 5, it was like we went back to basics. And I also really enjoyed the opener. And again, characters are really solid. So now we're halfway through the films. So, one more thing about 5 I really enjoyed. I liked how it, like, connected back to the first movie. I liked how it was like I still am like, wait, didn't they have... Because like, looking back at 5, it made me go, didn't they have cell phones? Because I feel like they had cell phones. That was kind of my thought process with the movie. I was like, didn't they... but it's a nice, sneaky way to get into the... cycle back to the first movie to make it like a fucking circle. So that was cool. So now we've come to the halfway point, and we're going to go with Final Destination Bloodlines. I was kind of debating if I liked F5 or Bloodlines more. But Bloodlines, I liked. I didn't absolutely love it. I think it kind of gets bogged down by CGI deaths. There's a lot of CGI deaths that and I said this in my review, where I have this sneaking suspicion that this film had a lot of practical effects that the studio came in and made them cover with CGI. It's very much like what Universal did with the 2011 Thing prequel. At least that's what I feel like, because there's some of these deaths where it's like it cuts back to a physical practical effect where we saw bad CGI. But I still think there are some solid kills. One involving an MRI is just like almost like fucking like a fucking fatality in Mortal Kombat. Characters are very likable. I like how it ties. It does tie with the other movies, but not to a like egregious level. And it's a great send off for Tony Todd. You know, this was his last movie, and I got choked up seeing Tony, and it was a nice ride off to the sunset with him. Also, I also like how the directors, who by the way, apparently these were the same directors who did the Kim Possible live action movie for the Disney Channel. Ain't that crazy? But yeah, getting back to what I said, the directors basically came to Tony Todd and were like, "Hey, listen, we know you're kind of we're glad you came," because Tony came of his own volition. He was already dealing with cancer at that point, and they said, "Hey, we'll just let you say what your final words on your own. You can just ad-lib it." So if you've seen the movie and you see those last words from Bloodworth, those are off script. That's like Tony Todd speaking to the audience. So that was a very sweet moment, and that really gave me a lot more it was a great ride off to the sunset moment for Tony. So, yeah. But yeah, I also, again, CGI kind of killed it, and I do think there are some plot holes, especially like when you get into the rest of the family. I'm like, I feel like the other family members should be here, but I don't want to go too deep into spoilers, but yeah, there were some little inconsistencies here and there. But all in all, I think it's good, and I will say this, and it might be controversial. I do know that we're probably, like, with the money this movie is making, we're probably getting Final Destination 7. But if I'm being honest, I think Bloodline should be the end. I really do think Final Destination 6 should be the final, movie. You don't have Tony Todd anymore. You can only do this for so long. Someone did suggest make it a TV, instead of another movie, make it another Final Destination, make it a TV series. I think that could actually work. Maybe like for Amazon or something. I think they're out money for it. But yeah, I think for movie wise, I think this is kind of a solid ending, and I don't think it would be fair to continue with this franchise without Tony Todd. So yeah, that's where I stand on it. Is that I know that's not going to happen. We're probably going to get, I guarantee you sometime in like the next week or so, we're going to get like an announcement of like Final Destination 7 is being put into production, because this just made buku money. But I digress. So Final 2. And I know what you're probably thinking, like, where is Multi going to put the final 2 movies of the Final Destination franchise? Well, I'll tell you. Final Destination 1 is at number 2, is at the number 2 spot for me. It's a great film, and it really introduced the idea of like death there's no slasher, there's no like physical force you can fight. It's just death doing fucking Looney Tune shit to kill people. We can all remember the bus kill, we can all remember the plane kill. All the characters are likable. There are some great, solid, setups for kills. I think it is just absolutely perfect. I really love that movie, and there are just some really like queasy moments to it. I also like going back. I realized that like there are clear references to other horror movies, such as a reference to the character's last name is Browning, a reference to Todd Browning. Then you have the teacher. Her name is Val Lewton, who was a very prominent horror producer for a lot of the horror films like Cat People and I Walked with a Zombie and like these really tense, dramatic horror films back with RKO. Almost said Paramount, but yeah, it was RKO. So it's a really cool reference to horror, and I still find it funny that this was meant to be an X-Files episode that got extended. So by process of elimination, yes, my favorite of the Final Destination movies is Final Destination 2. The log kills. Come on, man. If you're at my age and you see a log truck, you get a little nervous. Don't lie. I think all the storytelling is great. I think all the characters are fun. The deaths are awesome. There's I don't think people talk about this one. Like when the woman is being freed from her car and she gets killed by her airbag that goes through the pipe. All I could think was, I know this is Death's design, but that firefighter is totally fired. Like he is definitely going to get a lawsuit and also lose his job. Was I the only one thinking that? Because I feel like that I know it was all like Death's design, but no one knows that outside of the main cast, and they didn't stop to tell him. So for all intents and purposes, that firefighter thinks he just murdered a woman, which he kind of did, but that was all Death's design. So now that dude probably lost a job and may even go to jail. I don't know. Was I overthinking it? I don't know. I think the kills are great. It takes everything up to 11 with this film. I love it. So there you go, guys. That is my ranking for the Final Destination movies. You guys tell me in the comments below, where do these movies rank for you? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.